Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how we can create a very simple work log. Basically it calculates the difference between the start time and then the end time. So for example, you want to calculate when you start a work, you want to click on start, okay, and for example in this case I'm going to use like babysit. You want to calculate between since the time that you click on start, okay, and then when you finish your babysit task, for example you click on end, okay, and then you want to see how much time did you babysit it. Now you see that this is 20 seconds, but in reality the applications of this project is certainly beyond babysit or just work time log. Once you know the logic behind that, you can apply to different tasks and even more than one task at the same time, or for different user. Okay, so that let's get started. Now, just to let you to know that there are some information. For example, if we click on start, it's supposed to say start at certain time. If we click on end, the website or the app is supposed to understand that is it an end, so it will help you calculate like how many minutes or seconds. All right, and also you can also see this is the date, this is the time. All right, so if you want to delete, just click on delete, okay, and it will disappear. Delete and it will disappear. Okay, now I have to refresh this, but like for this kind of thing you can just do it on yourself, like so, like auto refresh, for example, so that you don't have to refresh the page. All right, let's get started. This is the end the ultimate projects, but let's start with the in empty space. I call it work log folder. So I have a work log folder with technically nothing in there, right? So what we want to do first is to create an index file. All right, because we're going to use PHP, so we're going to have an index file. Now you want to grab quickly a template. Okay, so just go to, you can do it to go to Google, type bootstrap cd and start a template, click on introduction, and then go to the start assembly. Okay, then just simply grab it, right, and put it in the index file. So for here we're gonna write something like workload, no, work log actually, work log, and we're gonna get rid of the h1. Okay, so for this one you can say something like you can have a div, okay, you can have a div here called container, and then work time log, for example. Okay, and then let's just refresh our page. Right, so technically there's nothing here yet. The next thing we want to do is to let me just open the end project, so we know what's it like in the end. Just like tutorial time. All right, so this is the end project work time log. Now we want to create a button, the start and the end. So now let's do the button. All right, so what you want to do is to create a button. All right, so we can have an art, and have this start. Okay, we're gonna start. Now for the class here, we're gonna use bootstrap class, so that btn and btn success. Now we want a width like 104, and I like margin top 2 as well. Save that, refresh. There we have our first start button. Something in copy and paste. We have the end here, but instead of success, we're gonna have danger, to make it red. Alright, and now we got to start and the end. Alright, so it's pretty simple. Now in the end product, we also have the icon right here. If you want to use the icon, then you have to have your font awesome. Go to fontawesome.com, create an account, get your own kit. So now we're gonna copy the kit and link it to your file first. I'll copy the kit code, put it in your between the head. Okay, alright, and then save it. Now you can go back and then you can find the button. If you want to start, just hit start. In this case, go here, copy that, and I put it in front of start, the start button. Okay, all right, and then we'll go back and we find end. If you don't, I want to use pause rather than end, and we're just gonna copy it as well, and we put in front of end. All right, so let's just refresh our page. Yep, we got start and end. Okay, so it looks pretty good so far. Should have a semicolon here. Right, now this is pretty much for the front end of it. Okay, the next thing we want to do is go to the back end of it. Now for the back end, what you want to do is to have a database.php where we link with the database. Okay, now let me just introduce the structure of the database. You can name the database whatever you want, but in this case I'm going to name it time diff. And let's have a look at the structure of it. So for my database, I have 4 columns. It's going to be very simple. So only 4 columns. The first ID, and then the activities, and then the date and hour. Now let's go a bit into more detail. Change. Now if I select all and I click change, for example, now you see that IDs, this is how it is, integer 11, auto increment. Okay, activity, varchar, it can be no. Date, we're going to use type date and time, and then the default will be current timestamp. An hour would be the column that we add the amount of time. In this case, I want to use the character. Okay, I'm going to use character. So varchar 255, it can be no. Okay, so this is basically the structure of our database. Is very simple. And since name the type, well, the database is called tutorial, but time diff will be the table. Okay, just click save. Now what we want to do next is to connect it to database. Okay, so if you watch my other video, you see that we're going to use a very simple way to connect a database. So it's pretty straightforward. Now this is optional. Australia, Melbourne. If you're in different place, feel free to choose different one. But you want to make sure you got a local host, you root no pass, and then database name. Feel free to use yours, not tutorial but yours, right? And to save time, I just copy and pass it in. Right, now let's just go back and check if the database works. Okay, so we're gonna go to our index. Top of it, we're gonna have PHP, and then require database.php. Right, save it and refresh. Okay, so far it's look fine, it doesn't show any error. Now if you want, you can echo the result out to see and just have to connect to database. Okay, but it's just for the test, so I'm gonna comment that one. Oh, good. So the next thing we want to do is to actually make this one works. Okay, so and you see that we're not going to use start and ends at the we're not going to use form. We're not going to submit form or anything. We're going to do is very simple. We're going to use two button, or exactly it's two links, and we're going to work from that. So what you want to do is to create another file to process everything. Process.php. Now you can do it within the same file. It doesn't matter, but just to make the code a little bit clean and separate, I'm going to create another file called process.php, where I'm going to process what happened when the user click on the link. Okay, so that the process is empty right now. Now we want to have a process page, okay, where we're gonna input activity. We have a parameter called activities, and I'll just call it babysit for now. It's use, and the status is start. Okay, feel free to use a different activity, but the status, we're gonna mark this as start. Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna copy this part and actually the whole thing, and put it the same thing for the end button, but the starter will be end. Okay, I click on save that. Now if you refresh it should, if you click on it, it doesn't show nothing because there's nothing in the process page yet. Okay, but why we can't really see it, but the start and the end button right now, if you click on that, you can observe the URL where you can see the activity has been logged, the status has been logged. Okay, if you click on end, if you look at the URL, you will see the difference. Okay, this looks pretty good. It means our links are working good so far, working well, right? So the next thing what you want to do is to go to the process file. Okay, for the process file, now we need the database to do everything. So yeah, obviously we're gonna have require database. Okay, after require, then we don't get the activities and the status as it show. Okay, so we're gonna want to get what is the activity and what is the status, so that we can process the this information. Okay, now we're gonna check if it's not empty. Yeah, if get is not empty, we're gonna use get to get the parameter. So well, let's do the activity first. If not empty, then we're gonna say activity equal get activity. All right, so that's it. First thing, you need copy and paste. We do the same thing for status. If you want to check, and you can say echo activity and then status. Okay, now click on start. Okay, it says unexpected parameter. Alright, so I think I make a mistake. This one should be inside. This should be inside. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, status. Okay, so yeah, sorry about this. So status, so we need to change status as well. Do again. So babysit and it start. If we click on end, say babysit and end. All right. So far working fine. Now it's just coming out to activity thing. All right. So now we're gonna do more complicated. So we're gonna process the task. Okay, now we go into more detailed thing. All right, if is set, what we want to check if the activity is set. In other words, the user click on the activity and the activity is in the URL. What else do we do? So we have another if status. Now we want to check if the status is start. Now if the status is start, which is you start the work, then we're gonna insert into the database. We're gonna insert into the database. Okay, insert. What do we insert? We simply insert the time, right? Simply insert the time. Actually the time we use timestamp, so we should insert the activity. The timestamp will be automatically calculated for us. Okay, so what you want to do is you go query, yeah, and then PDO. We're gonna have a prepare insert into time diff, and we're gonna have activity a value. Yep, the second line we're gonna have query. We're gonna execute the query and activity. Again, we don't have to calculate the data time or nothing because it will calculate for us. And also remember, for the hour, it is just because we're not going to insert any amount of hour in our database, so it's gonna be null. Okay, and it's okay later on if we check if it is null, then we know that it is a start activity. Okay, right, so just pretty much execute, and then we're gonna echo, we're gonna have a message MSG. Okay, in the MSG we're saying something like so I'm gonna copy and paste to save time. Now babysitter hour has been successfully added. Okay, you know, feel free to modify it in your own. Okay, now let's try again. Now refresh first, click start. Now let's have a look at what does it say. Process 16 execute activity. Okay, so this is the syntax thing. Let's do it again. Okay, let's refresh. All right, so now it was a syntax mistake. So now we can check the messages out. We can just refresh table because I refreshed several times, so it could have logged in multiple times. But see, it does successfully log in, and then you see the days it calculated for us, and the hours is null because this is the start time. We don't have any hour to calculate just yet. Okay, now just comment the one out. Now if it not start, so it will be the end. That means you finish the ship, for example, finish watching the kid, for example. Okay, now that this is a little bit more complex because we need to first retrieve the start time. Okay, we need to first retrieve the start time from the database. Yeah, we can do that by just say retrieve PDO. You can prepare select. Now we want to select all from the database where, because now we only have one activity, so babysit where activity equal to babysit. This is, I think this is optional, but if you have multiple activity, then it's become important. Order by date, and we want to use descend limit 1. Now descend here is mean we get the latest. Okay, all right, so and then we're gonna execute over the retrieve, and then we're gonna execute. What do we execute? We execute activity. Alright, there seems to be something not right here. Retrieve execute activity. Alright, we like what right here. Now after that we're gonna have to use retrieve and then fetch. Now I will name it previous time equal retrieve and then fetch. Okay, so very simple and straightforward. Now we got a previous time that that is the record, the previous start time we get from the database. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is to calculate the time difference, like how many hours, minutes, seconds, did you babysit, for example. Now for this, we're gonna create a datetime 1. Okay, and I'm gonna use datetime. We can create a datetime object. Now we get the previous time, and then we make it a datetime object. Next, we got let's do the datetime 2, which is now this is the previous time, or we call it start time, and now we need to get now the time for now. Okay, so we can do that by saying new datetime, and we're gonna say it. Nope, I said it today for now, but we actually need to create today. Okay, so instead of put it right here, I'll just go to the top and say create a variable called today, and the way I create a date object is to year, month, day, HIS. Okay, so we're gonna create the current date, time, month, year, today or now. Let's just say now, and then now. Okay, so that's pretty much. And then we're gonna go to calculate the difference. We need another third variable called interval. You can name it whatever you want, but the interval here is to calculate the date time 1, and then we're gonna go with diff, and then we can calculate date time 2. Okay, now we got the diff. We can just we got the interval. Now here we will convert the interval into string. Why string? Because we define our amount of hour as varchar, which is string, and it is for a reason, because then it's easier to manipulate, to add words like hour, minutes. Okay, if you don't convert it to string, it's difficult to use hour or minutes. Okay, now we want to create an hour, a string variable hour, where we convert the interval here into the format we want. Format here is mean hour, and then we're gonna add our how many hour minute interval, we have hour, we got minute. Okay, minutes, and then we have another interval, second, format, and this is for the second. So the word like hours, minutes, and second are the words that we add. Okay, so now we're gonna insert it into the database. Now insert amount of time into the database. Okay, and now we got the hour as a string. And we're gonna insert into the database. Okay, so string variable amount of time. Okay, now we're gonna do similarly to insert, how we insert in previous. So PDO, we're gonna have prepare, and then we set insert into time div. What do we want to insert? We want to insert activity, we want to insert hour, and a value. He question mark. Alright, guys, and then we're gonna query execute. Within this, what do we execute? We execute two variables. That is activity, and that is hour. Okay, right, and we're gonna echo a message. I'm just gonna copy that and pass it one down to save time. Has been added. Now just simply end it. That's it, and I'm gonna echo the message out. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so we got start. Oh, it is not showing, so we're gonna go to the index, and we're gonna have to output. Now we got everything, but now we need to output it. Okay, now so the way we output this is that we're gonna retrieve all of the activities from the database, from the time div table, and then we're gonna output it here. Now we're gonna go to the top to retrieve all of the records in the time div. Okay, so what we're gonna do is pretty straightforward. Retrieve all activities from the database. So retrieve from. Now what you can do, we go say retrieve PDO, got prepare, and then we say select from time div. Now we should select everything from time div, where activities to babysit. Now again, there's condition like equal to babysit if you have multiple activities. Okay, else you don't need that. Order by date, that's limit. Order by dates because the setting, because we want to put the most recent result first. Limit 10. Now limit 10 is optional. It depends on how many records results you want to show. In this case I want 10 of them. Now the second thing is to retrieve and execute. Now once we execute, now we go on to fetch everything, activities in plural, and then have retrieve, and then gonna fetch all records from the table. Okay, now what we can do is to then go to a section. Let's just create a section, another container section, a container section where we say latest activity, h4 underline latest activity, okay. Now we're gonna use order list, okay, and we're gonna have PHP to echo, you know, each activities out. We're gonna use for each loop, okay. We're gonna use for each loop in PHP. For each activities, each activity, okay, this is for each, and then we're gonna have a UI. Now within the first UI here, what do we add? Now we're gonna add the date. Yep, we're gonna add the date and then the activity. And the date, we're gonna create a date variable. We'll have date time, create from format, now we're gonna take the date and then we're gonna the date from the database, which is a string, but now we need to make it into a date object, not a string anymore. Okay, HINS. Let's say activity, and we're gonna have date. All right, activities. And that, okay. Also, what we want, what else do we want? Yeah, we're gonna have something called another PHP where we will continue to echo our activity. Echo activity. Let's just refresh. Now we've got babysitters right here. All right, let's see. I don't think we need this one. I'm gonna use a different format of it. Now we got babysit, and then we're gonna have the time at. So we're gonna echo the timeout. So that will be echoed. Yeah, yeah, we still need the date right here. So we're gonna echo date, okay, and we're gonna have format. HIS DMY. Now let's just refresh that one. So babysit add. Now let's just put the word add in. Add. Alright, so it's look nice. Now I want the babysit to be uppercase, so I want to say string to upper, and we're gonna put parentheses there. Babysit at. Alright, so now if we click end, let's see if it works yet. The baby end is not coming out just yet, so let's fix that later. Alright, so after this one, what we want to do is just create another PHP call, determine whether it is the start or the end of it. Okay, so we're gonna have another PHP. Let's have a break in front of that. Now for PHP, we'll say if activity. We want to let the application know that if it is a start, how should we treat that? If it is an end, how should we treat that? Okay. But by the way, I just want to come to the yep. And right, it's not shown clearly just yet. Okay, so if activities hour is null, so we know that this is the start. So we're gonna echo started at, where we're gonna put in the date. Started at spanning, and we're gonna have activity date, we're gonna use class bootstrap class, so text set then else. What is else include? If it's not null, now remember, if the else is null, it means this is the start. Okay, if it's not null, it means it's not a start. Okay, and there has been some minutes. That's the end. So we're gonna say echo babysit for. Okay, same thing. How long? So we want how long, and then span. So this is for activity. Now we're going to echo the number of the amount of time, hour, and we're going to have another span. Text class, we're going to have text access as well. Okay, let's just refresh the page. Started at, okay. Now it seems that the baby end is not coming, through very clearly. Let's see why is the reason. Let's just diagnose, print out and activity. Let's just refresh this one. Let's do some diagnose. Status 1 minute. It seems that the log hour is pretty fine. Now for each activity as activity, li. Okay, I think I'm missing a bracket here. For each activity, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up with a PHP and well another square bracket. Okay, now it's look pretty fine here. Now let's just comment this one out. Stop that one. Let's just get rid of everything here. Okay, so just no, just check all and delete. Yes. Okay, there's nothing in the database. Let's refresh. Let's do it all again. Start. Go back. Refresh. Maybe it started at. Okay. Let's see. Visit at. Okay. This seems to be double. But anyway, just leave it for now. And then we just end. Refresh. Maybe this is 29 seconds. Well, 29 seconds here is the time that you click on this, and then 29 seconds in, you click start and end. Alright, so let's just make this one different color. So I want start to be green, and then babysit 4 to be red. So danger started at Spain. Let's just refresh this one. Alright, it started at didn't seem to show the color. So to go back, okay, here's the spelling. Let's just refresh. Okay, started at and set it for. it seems everything seems working fine compared to the final version. And the final version also have some sort of a delete. If you click on this, it delete. Right, so what we're gonna do is also create a delete button like that. All right, so in order to create a delete button like that, what we can do is to work to unlock. All right, this is the main page we're doing. Right, let me just get rid of this as well. Okay, so there's nothing. Do a start. Let me see. Start, and then let's do the end. And oh, good. Just refresh. 15 seconds. Okay, seeing the click on start and end. Look pretty good. Now, in order to add a delete, what you want to do is to, let me see. Now add a send, well, add a sign, add a symbol called delete. Where do we want to add? Right after the, what's right after the first line, after add. Okay, now after this, what you can do is to add another small, well, it's up to you, but let a small, and then we're gonna use another link. We can also go to the process PHP, and then we're gonna simply put the word delete on the URL, and then we're gonna put in the ID of the activity. Okay, so for ID, we're gonna have to make some, it might have to be a bit more complicated. So within the PHP, we're gonna echo activity, and we're gonna echo the ID there. Okay, and here we want to go to Bootstrap. Now, if you want to find this one, you want to find the symbol called trash. Okay, so let's just go back and type in trash. Okay, right here, it's up to you. I'm just gonna click on this one, put it in the link. No, from the link, let's go to refresh the page. Okay, I think there's some sort of a problem with the font awesome. Let's choose another one then. Let's choose this one. And replace the dual tone here with trash. Okay, let's refresh it. Alright, now we got a trash. Let's just click on that. Now they're nothing doing anything yet, but at least we got a URL, we got a delete and the ID 30. Okay, now the task is simply to go to the process, and what we want to do is to go outside the ESET activity. Okay, so we're gonna do something if ESET get delete. We said get delete. We're gonna get the ID. We're gonna get the ID, and then we're gonna delete from the database. So it's very straightforward. So we're gonna call delete. We're gonna use the PDO prepare as well. So delete from time div. Okay, we need where ID. Okay, look good, and then simply delete execute. And we should execute the ID, and that should be good. And now we can just echo a message saying your activity and simply echo img. Okay, now let's try this one. Fresh foot, delete your, as you have been deleted. Go back and then refresh. Now disappear. Excuse me. Now see, refresh and disappear. Okay, now we have successfully deleted the nothing from a database. Let's try it. Add something. Yes. And yes. 3 seconds. Yep. And then delete. It should work perfectly. Alright, so I think that's also wrap it up, this project today. This is a very small project, small simple project, but hopefully you learned how to make a very simple app to log the time, start with, and calculate the time difference between the start and end. Feel free to modify this and accordingly to suit your personal purpose. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.